Hey, welcome to another Le Mans Ultimate Guide. Today, GT3 at the paddock layout of the Bahrain circuit, and we're driving again the McLaren 720S GT3 EVO. My brake bias, ABS and traction control settings are on screen right now if you're interested. Now for the first turn, we're looking out for that 150 board on the left and also that service road. We're going to be braking just before we get to that service road, sticking all the way on the left side of the track and staying alongside this white line until we get to the turn-in point right here. Now we're going to turn very tight into this turn. We want to make sure we don't go too far to the left after the apex. So really cut off your speed. You can cut your right side tires over the curb on the inside there, and then just don't go too far to the left. You want to bring your car towards the middle of the track here to open up your entry line for this bend to the left so we can take it flat out. Now for this turn, this curb right here, you can actually cut over it. Just make sure you keep your right side wheels within the white line. All the way around the track you have to keep at least 2 wheels within the white line. Now this is where it becomes different from the main layout. We're coming a little bit away from that curb on the right there, and as the curb begins to turn, that's where we're going to start braking and not getting on the brakes too hard here. Using all of the track width, we have our eyes towards the apex. You don't want to look to the outside of the track. You want to keep your eyes where we're actually aiming to go, but using all the width of the track there, then turning in nice and tight. We're aiming to straighten our exit up as much as we can to carry nice speed onto the straight. So turning tight and beginning to pick up the throttle just before the apex, and then gradually picking up the throttle, because if you hammer it too hard you'll probably lose traction. And you can put your left side wheels outside of the track at this point as well to carry more momentum out, but just make sure that you're not too angled as your wheels cross onto that off track surface, because you could lose a little bit of traction and ultimately lose time coming out of that turn. Now for this turn we're carrying more speed down the straight than we normally would in the normal layout, so we have to brake a little bit earlier. Our braking reference here is that second blue line that goes across the outside of the track there, braking alongside that on the outside curb to open up our entry line a little bit. And then we want to apex at this inside curb here and not get on throttle too early, because it's very easy to go too wide on exit if you're not careful. There seems to be 2 lines that you can take coming out of here. There's a tighter line, but it uses more of the rear tires. You kind of rotate using the rear, or you go a bit wider carrying your momentum out and use more of the front tires. There doesn't seem to be a huge time difference in the lines, but just make sure you don't get out onto that outside curb, because it will kind of pull you out there and you will lose time if you go that far out wide. Now for this turn, we're going to turn after we get past the service road and before we get to that black board on the fence there, turning in, and we're going to have to lift off throttle before we get to the apex. Lifting off the throttle will help us rotate, and then we're apexing almost alongside where that orange fence is on the right there, and then we can pick up the throttle again, carrying our momentum all the way to the left curb, where we're going to brake a couple car lengths before we get to that Avis board on the right there. That's our braking reference. This turn we want to aim for a mid-apex, and if we get it perfect we should be able to start touching the throttle before we get to the apex, but make sure you've cut off enough speed before you do think about that. Apex at the curb here, you can use the throttle to help rotate you a little bit out of the turn, and on exit here you can put your left side wheels on the left of the curb, but just make sure your right side wheels are within that white line, because that is what determines if your lap is valid or not. In this particular case I might have gotten throttle just a little bit early, because I did go kind of wide on exit, but I mostly got away with it. For the final braking zone, we're looking for that orange paint on the left of the track there, and also the 100 board, and we're aiming to brake about between those 2 braking references. And then we're going to be apexing at this inside curb. You can cut over it quite a bit. Of course, just keep your left side wheels within the white line, but aim to cut over the curb as much as you can, and then you should be able to get on throttle at the apex. And just make sure that right here at this point, don't get onto the exit curb, because it will pull you around a bit and cost you a little bit of time. So stick within the tarmac at this point, but then you can run out onto the exit curb right there if you need to. And that will be a lap done of Bahrain's paddock layout. Most of this layout you drive exactly the same as the full layout. It's just that point where you turn off after the first couple corners that's a bit different, and in that new turn it's all about getting as much speed as you can out of that hairpin. Right, so I'm going to play through the whole lap again without any interruptions. I have a pit entry guide at the end of the lap, so I'll see you then. Now for the pit entry of Bahrain in GT3, it's quite simple. You'll take the last turn like you normally do, and then you'll see the pit dividing line on the right here. Position yourself about half a car width towards the right of that white line, and then as you cross over this dotted line, you're going to be braking maybe a car length after you get to that dotted line, as I marked on screen there. Then hard on the brakes and you'll reach 60 k's by the line. So that's my guide done. I hope it's helped you out. Thank you all for watching. I recently hit 40,000 subscribers, so thank you all for following along and supporting my channel over the years. This channel is actually almost about 9 years old now, so next year's the big 10. Hopefully we can build it up to 50k soon enough. But anyway, thank you all for watching and see you next time.